Afternoon and welcome to the Hamilton County Commission Board Meeting, April 25th, 2024. And I will ask everyone on the dais to introduce themselves.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Charlie Annis, Prosecutor's Office.
And I'm Hamilton County Commission President Alicia Reese. We start every meeting with silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join us in silent prayer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second?
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus.
Yes.
All righty. Now we have public comment, but there are no cards. Okay, so we will move to comments by commissioners. I will start with Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. First and foremost, Commissioner Reese, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's a day of celebration here at the county. So happy birthday to you. I hope you have fun plans after our very short meeting. So
Yes.
you can get out of here and go.
Thank you.
This is my hope and my goal. So I'm going to be fairly brief. Just a couple of things that I've done recently. One is I just got back from the luncheon of the Valley Interfaith Group. They're doing a lot of work by way of their food pantry and other services to help people in the community who are in need, particularly the Mauritanian population, where we've seen an influx of individuals coming from Mauritania, and they are in desperate need of food, of clothing, of jobs, and so they're trying to do their best to help out. And so they had a couple speakers today to help the audience better understand those needs. So thank you to John Kiefer for the invitation to go to that. Also went to the Fair Chance and Reentry Breakfast. This was hosted by Tamaya Denard and CEO, which is an organization. She is, I think she's the leader of the organization, actually. They talked a lot about reentry. Trina Jackson was there, trying to help people network in the space of reentry to make sure that we're filling some gaps and providing opportunities for those that are reentering our community after they've been incarcerated. So it was a large room. There were a lot of people in the space. It was really impressive. So thanks to Maya for hosting that and having us out for that. And then something I missed, and Commissioner Reese, I don't know if you were there or not, that the A. Philip Randolph organization honored the work of the Hamilton County Commissioners. I'm very, very grateful. I was out of town, so I was unable to go to the dinner, but I heard it was very nice. Thanks, a big shout out to Andre Washington, who invited us all to go to the dinner in recognition of the work we're doing. So I wasn't there. I heard it was a blast. I hope to make it next year. And that's all I've got, other than, once again, happy birthday wishes to yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll start there. Yes. A big shout out to Andre Washington, who is the president of the A. Philip Randolph Institute. And this was their state convention. So I thought it was great that they selected our area, and they were out in spring, out in the Sharonville area. And so we appreciate that. And I was the keynote speaker, so I did go to the keynote luncheon. I was not able to be at the dinner, but Deontay Morris was there and Veda Stevens. I was double booked because Allen Temple celebrated 200 years. I was with them for the naming of their street, and I want to give a shout out to Vice Mayor Jan Michelle Lemon-Kearney, who is over the Neighborhoods Committee for the city, and the mayor, Aftab Purabal, was there, and Allen Temple asked me to speak at the street naming because we've done so much together in that Bond Hill community. And then they had their gala celebration, which I also spoke at, and they had a special guest. And I would say they could keep a good secret because no one knew, no one would talk. They kept saying a special guest, special guest. And then out walks John Legend. Oh, nice. And John Legend and Pastor and First Lady Allen are good friends. They've been with him when he was in college, and they had pastored the AME church in Philadelphia Pittsburgh area rather. And so he came in and surprised everyone. And it was just a fun event. I want to congratulate them for being pastoring at Allen Temple AME for 17 years, the longest any minister has been there. And I also want to give a shout out to Pastor Donald, the late Pastor Donald Jordan, who did a lot, the buying of the Swifton, and we worked together on the Villages of Daybreak, which is the largest, still the largest Black home ownership project in the county. So 200 years, and just learned a lot. I mean, Procter & Gamble, where the headquarters is, that's where Allen Temple used to be. And they had to negotiate that to move so that Procter & Gamble could bring their headquarters downtown. So it's a lot of history with 200 years and them being the oldest African-American church in Hamilton County. So that was great to be there as well. Also, I was in Avondale. They're opening up a meat store that will be opening soon. And so there was a ribbon cutting, I believe, and I had a chance to stop by there and congratulate Avondale. Also, I spoke at the Hamilton County Education Services Center of educators of color throughout Hamilton County, and that was at Princeton High School. I had a great time being a keynote speaker, and I appreciate them inviting me. And then I attended the Housing Opportunities Made Equal Fair Housing Luncheon yesterday at the Graduate Hotel. I wanted to, the 513 Relief Bus today is out in Lincoln Heights from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tomorrow, it'll be in College Hill at the College Hill Recreation Center from 10 to 1. And then Saturday, it will be at Closing the Health Gap. And Closing the Health Gap has their big event at Washington Park. It's this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm excited that on the bus we do glucose checks, high blood pressure checks, but this time, for the first time, we're going to have a cancer check, something of the neck. So they'll be doing some cancer checks for the first time in history. So excited about that. Reminding everybody that Small Business Day is May 20th. It's at the Cherryville Convention Center, but you have to register. I understand we have over 850 people already registered. We have to stop at 1,000. So you can go to 513relief.org and make sure you register. And then the Hamilton County Veterans Appreciation Day will be July 20th at 10 a.m. at Great American Ballpark. These are all free. And then lastly, we do still have funding available for people who need help with their property taxes. They can go to 513relief.org. So those are all my announcements. And now I'll turn over to Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you so much. I apologize for being late. I was at a great conference. And 75 is like a parking lot, so don't feel that way. Just a few things. The White House briefing that I attend every Thursday during a webinar, and they were talking about the IRS and how they hired so many more people to get your money to you, or either to get it from you. I don't know, but this
Probably the other way.
yeah. So this past Saturday, A. Philip Randolph Institute convention was here in Cincinnati, and I was honored to be given the Spirit of Ohio Award through that convention, through that institute. And I just learned so much about A. Philip Randolph and his expertise as it relates to labor unions and how he worked so hard for people who worked on the train and so some of the maids on the train. He was just an awesome man who sometimes is overshadowed by Martin Luther King, but he pulled together that march in Alabama. So anyway, he's just very important. And then the Community Builders celebration, I did attend that also, which was in Avondale. And Avondale Town Center, it was just, that's where I'm from. So it was just nice to go home and to see all the new businesses that are coming up there, and then the food market that everyone is asking about, because Avondale is a food desert. It will be opening officially May the 31st. And I think that's all for announcement. Well, we have a special visitor here today. Every month I try to let the public know what our Inspire grant is doing for so many people, so many youth. And we really look at, it just happened this way, that as we looked at the applications, there was such a diversity of activities and people. And so just feeling really good about how it's going, and we want to continue it on and on and on. And Alice Bledsoe is the program coordinator, and then Mr. Bill, I don't know if you were going to say something. You guys can get up here and.
Hey everyone, I don't have much to say. Of course, I love the children and I love seeing the various and diverse programs and opportunities that are available for them. Today we have Veer Seth, did I say it? From Cincinnati Squash Academy.
Awesome. Thank you, Alice. Thank you for having me here. So just a bit about, so my name is Veer Seth. I'm the executive director at the Cincinnati Squash Academy. So we are an after-school program. We serve 48 lower-income youth in Cincinnati. Often the question is, what is squash? It's an indoor racket sport, and our program is an education program. We say squash is the hook, but education is the heart. And so for our after-school program, our students, it's year-round, it's intensive. We recruit our students in the 4th through 7th grade, and then they stay with our program year after year. So the after-school program runs from September all the way up until May, and then we do still engage our students through the summer with various summer programs, some that we host and plenty that we connect them to externally. And so that's a bit about our program and the ways that the Inspire grant did impact our students. It's certainly, we got them all brand new uniforms this past year, and I had sent Alice a picture with all of our kids in their new uniforms, and we get to send them on some awesome opportunities. So last summer we got to send them in August to a couple camps in Connecticut, squash camps in particular. We actually, once our students, I forgot to mention, once our students do get to high school, they enter our post-secondary program where they get assistance with college and career pathways. We actually, which is pretty exciting, 2 weeks ago, got the news that one of our first students in our first class back in 2014 just got admission to Harvard, Yale, Brown, and a host of other colleges. So she's now deciding between Harvard and Yale, which is pretty exciting. So it was a long-term project then, and it's nice to sort of see it coming to fruition. So, so it's been a fun journey. I've been with the organization since the start. So we got it off the ground 10 years ago, so back in 2014, and we're looking to expand. We just moved to a new facility, which we now own. It's a 15,000 square foot facility that was donated to us a couple years ago. So it's been brilliant for our students to have their own home. It's 5 squash courts, our academic center, it's got a fitness center. So we're super excited where the program's headed and definitely appreciative of the support of the Inspire grant. So it's been very rewarding for the students. So thank you for having me.
You didn't wear the uniform.
I didn't wear our uniform. I know, I didn't get a set.
Okay. I'm sure my colleagues want to also thank you, but I thought it was really good. You work with them 5 days a week, and it's so important to be consistent. And I mean, okay, one day is good, but 5 days a week. And you talked about, you did not mention about the mental health component that you do, and the cultural exposure and the leadership skills that you teach them. And so I thank you so much for that. So.
Thank you very much. Vice President Driehaus?
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for what you're doing for the young people in our community. Where is your facility?
So it's up in Fairfax. So we used to be located down in Over the Rhine at the Emmanuel Community Center on 13th and Race. And then 2 years ago, we had one of our longtime donors who had a squash facility that he owned. And it's
a squash facility. I just don't know what you're saying.
so squash traditionally is it's played in pretty affluent areas, and so what this model does is it brings it to areas where students don't ordinarily have access to the sport, and this is a sport that's played at the Ivy Leagues and at a lot of prestigious universities. And so that is a goal of ours, is to get our kids into some of these elite universities and get them that exposure. And so, for Lydia, who was found out that she's having to pick between Harvard and Yale is it's pretty exciting for us.
Is she on scholarship
She will be on essentially a full scholarship. Yeah.
for squash?
So she could play. She won't play. The teams are very competitive. Through her academics, she earned the right to be there, and her character as well. She wasn't recruited, so squash is technically played at the D3 level. It's not a D1 sport, so there's no sports athletic scholarships. But she would qualify for the financial aid, and Harvard and Yale have the ability to. They've got enough funds to make it happen.
That's very delicate. Thank you.
Yeah.
One other question for you. So, can you tell us what schools you're recruiting from?
Yeah. So when we were downtown, obviously it's changed a little bit. But when we were downtown, we were looking at the Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy's Arm Leader chapter. We had students from Hayes Porter that had started as well. We were looking at Taft High School as well. Now that we moved up to Fairfax, we're looking at Schroeder High School, and we currently have some students coming in from there. Norwood Middle School is another partner, and we're exploring Withrow High School as well. Okay. So,
Thank you. Thanks for what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Withrow.
Yeah, it's Withrow.
yeah.
I woke up. No, just kidding. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
For
Thank
what
you
you're
all for
doing
having
and
me.
exposing the youth, because we need to expose them to other opportunities that they may not otherwise hear about. So that's great.
Yeah, it's rewarding work. Thank you very much.
I have one question.
Yes.
I noticed you said ages 9 to 25.
Right.
So the upper end.
Yeah, so we've split our program up into phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. What we're calling phase 1 is our students when they come into the program up until the 12th grade. Phase 2 is when they're in college or in a post-secondary pathway. Phase 3 is when they're doing the real world thing, and we will still continue to support them there. So we haven't got our kids haven't gotten to phase 3 as yet. We've got a host of kids in college right now, but when we do get to phase 3, we will be supporting them as well.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate all that
Thank
you're
you.
doing with our youth.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas, do you have any more?
No, I don't
Announcements?
have anything else. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to stay.
I will go to, oh, yeah, yeah. But we welcome you to stay. We do have very exciting information to talk about. Okay, Mr. Ludo.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just a couple of quick comments and then one by leave only today. In terms of comments, I did a onboarding this morning. Want to welcome aboard. We have 2 new 911 communications officers, so always good to continue to fill those ranks. And also a new addition, excuse me, to this floor, a budget analyst 3 reporting to budget director Rob Wagner. Mr. Enrique Martin Uriah is now with us. I don't think we have him in here. I'm sure he's back there doing budget work. So unless, but I don't think he's in the room now. But we'll make sure he gets around to meet the board. We stole him collegially from Claremont County, so always good to pull folks in with budget experience from the county level, which is rare to have when you start here. So that's great. Also want to congratulate 4 of our building inspectors, Eric Cornelius, Roger Hammer, Scott Flynn, and Will Bush, who all recently passed their International Code Council commercial mechanical inspections license. So always good to get our inspectors to continue their career path here as opposed to leaving somewhere and getting that training somewhere else. So want to congratulate those 4 gentlemen for all their hard work and for that professional achievement. I do have one by leave for you today, Commissioners. It's by leave number 1 in your packet. On Tuesday, we discussed the ongoing Paycor pre-renovation projects. We had part of that presentation was discussing the IPTV project. It was one of those initial projects, which included all the cabling work and the screen replacement work. We had awarded that initial bid, and then we also awarded a first change order several weeks ago to add some screens into that project. As other projects in the pre-renovation program have continued to come in under budget, we've also recognized the opportunity to basically fill out and complete the screen replacement throughout the entire stadium. At the end, it'll be around 1,465 screens in total throughout the entirety of the stadium. General admission areas, concession areas, club and suite areas as well. This also enhances the public safety messaging and the ability to broadcast real-time emergency messages on ingress and egress if there are issues within the stadium. Finally, it's also just a more efficient way. We were hoping to be able to do this with the project, because what we didn't really want to see was doing it broken up, where we would have to be then dealing with potentially different vendors for different screens, different parts of the project long-term through different types of warranties, et cetera. So it's a more efficient way to do it. It is the total number of screens in this change are, I believe, 629 total screens. The total amount of the change order is $2.267 million. We are still comfortably within our overall pre-renovation budget, and as those other projects have come in below budget, some of which you saw on Tuesday, I wanted to recommend this to the board so that we could move it forward, hopefully in time of getting much of this done prior to the opening of the season in the fall. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I recommend approval.
Thank you. I'll open it up, Vice President Driehaus.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Dumas?
Yes, just one question. Jeff, you said there was 629 screens, and now we're going to 1,465?
So initially, I think the initial contract was between 700 and 800 screens. We then, through the first change order, added around 80, so that was brought it up to somewhere between 800 and 900 total, and this change adds 629.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all I have.
I had a question. Are these only inside screens, or is it the screen that when you drive off the highway that you see out?
Yeah, good question. No, this is not the screen outside that you would see like coming off the bridge or anything like that. These are just the screens inside, replacing those, correct? Okay. And the cabling and technology associated with them.
Okay. And then adding these screens, will it deal with any of the timetables? Because I know the music festival comes and there are people in the club level, I guess, and they get to watch it on the screen. Would that be affected?
Commissioner, that's a good question. I will follow up on that. I mean, I know our team is doing the best to work up until and then around that, making the stadium completely amenable for that event. So I'm not exactly sure where the screens will be at the time of that event, but I will follow up for you on that. I don't have that answer today.
Okay, considering they only use one side of the festival, on one side of the stadium.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to come in and,
have nothing there.
Yeah.
Or have it be in the state of disarray or something. I totally appreciate that, and I will follow up. I'll get you an answer on that today.
Okay, great. I'll make a motion to approve by leave one.
Second?
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioners, no further by leaves.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the regular agenda. Mr. Engineer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Todd Long, Chief Deputy Engineer. And in the theme of brevity, I only have 2 items for us today as well. The first is a resolution that facilitates the transfer of fee right-of-way for a portion of Brower Road from the Board of County Commissioners to the Village of North Bend. This transfer of property is within the municipal boundaries of the Village of North Bend from its western line of demarcation, approximately to US 50. The Village of North Bend has adopted an ordinance in March in support of this purpose. And this request is really to clarify the maintenance responsibility and the ownership of the roadway itself. Item 2 is a resolution to set the public viewing and hearing dates for the construction project 501706 and 501707 for Fields Earl Road at Macaulay Road and Fields Earl Road at Conray Road intersections. Portions of the roads are located within Sycamore Township, the city of Sharonville, Westchester Township, and Butler County, Ohio. This resolution would set the viewing date for this particular project to be on 5/7 of 2024, so May 7th. It would also establish the hearing date on May 23rd of 2024 at 1:15 p.m. The improvements for this particular project include a widening of Fieldsville Road between McCully and Conray for approximately a quarter mile of roadway, from a 2-lane road section to a three-lane road section. The intersections improvements will be made at both intersections of Fields-Erdel and McCully and Fields-Erdel and Conray, along with curb and gutter and storm sewer improvements at those locations. So the county engineer is going to prepare and submit a survey, a plat, and a report for the proposed locations and establishments for the portions of the roads mentioned above as part of that hearing. So in order for us to move forward with this project, it's necessary to acquire additional right-of-way and easement and portions of the roadway per the Ohio Revised Code. So this is establishing that those two pieces, the hearing date and then the establishment hearing. Are there any questions on either item?
I'll open it up. Vice President Driehaus, any questions?
I do. On item number 1, how big is that piece of property?
It's a series of properties that actually make up the roadway. So I don't have the acreage to it because it's essentially, there's some of the properties along that stretch of roadway from the western boundary to US 50 that are in easement, meaning we don't own the property in fee simple. We don't have a property interest in it that way. We have a roadway easement. And this is actually transferring just portions of it that we do own in fee. I can get you the number on the acreage of that, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
I'm just curious how big of a chunk of property this is. I mean, I'm in favor of it. I just am trying to get my bearings as to where this is and how large the property is. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Dumas?
No questions.
Okay, I make a motion to approve items 1 and 2.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Mr. Ludo?
Thank you, Commissioner. So the next 3 items we have are some of our stormwater ARPA grants, and Ms. Adams is here to walk you through the individual grants, all with Sims Township.
Good afternoon. As Mr. Aludo stated, these are just like the same grants that we did last week. I brought 4 last week. This week I am bringing 3. We awarded 11, so we're working on getting all of these approved. All 3 of these grants are with Sims Township. These do fall under the $3.6 million that we obligated under the stormwater and mitigation funding under ARPA. So resolution number 3 is for $48,400. That is with Tara Willis Ridge. I probably completely got that wrong. Court Storm Outlet Replacement Project. Resolution number 4 is for $45,270 with Timber Lake Drive Storm Improvements. And resolution number 5 is for $31,340, and that's for the cross street storm improvements. All 3 of these projects are to mitigate the stormwater. There's to prevent pooling, stormwater runoff, flooding, and do erosion diversion. But today I'm lucky that I have Kimberly Lampsey with Sims Township. She's the administrator there, and I will bring her up. That way she can address anything that I missed, anything about the projects, and how this will help Sims Township.
Hi, welcome. Doing great.
I just want to, on the behalf of the township trustees, I would like to thank the commission for taking our projects into consideration and awarding our funding. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. I'll open it up, Vice President Driehaus.
A question for Sarah. Thank you for being here. I'm going to take it easy on you, not to ask you any questions. So, Sarah, how much demand did we have for these dollars that were allocated?
We had 13 grant applications that we actually received. We were able to award 11 of those applications. One that we did not award was with the city of Cincinnati. That was a bidder project. It just didn't meet the full scope of what we were looking for to mitigate stormwater. And another one that we didn't feel fully met the scope was actually with Sims Township. So we were able to award 3 out of 4 of their projects where we just didn't meet, that one just didn't fully meet the scope that we were looking for with the actual grant proposals.
Okay, and the reason I ask, and Todd Long is still in the room, I sit on a committee where we talk a lot about stormwater and how to mitigate some of the impacts on residents especially and businesses as well. And the idea, I just am trying to get a handle on, because I think we know that there are needs in the community. When we make funding available, it can have a real impact on especially the residents, in this case, in 3 different neighborhoods. So I just want to get a sense of that as we think through how we approach stormwater, our relationship with MSD, where the flooding is occurring, and how this board has talked a number of times, not about sewer backup because we've got that covered, but rather overland flooding and stormwater issues. So it's helpful to have this conversation and know that in the community there are folks that see the need and are applying for these dollars. So I just want to get a better sense of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I make a motion to approve items 3 through 5.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to make a comment. Thank you for all of your work, because going through these grants is really difficult. They're different areas, so I just wanted to thank you for all your work on getting these grants out the door based on what the commission policy and intentions are. So thank you. Mr. Ludo.
Thank you, Commissioner. Moving on to the consent agenda, I will just walk through this fairly quickly for the board. Item number 6 starts your consent agenda. This is a budget adjustment in the amount of $4.252 million for various engineer construction projects, our emergency management agency grants, a probation grant, and a supplemental in probation for additional electronic monitoring units. Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Talbert House to operate the Hamilton County Community Alternative Sentencing Center. This is the 5th and final extension allowed under that contract is for $1.4 million. $925,000 of that is reimbursed from the TCAP grant program. The remainder was accounted for, recommended, and approved in the general fund budget. Item number 8 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2023 Chrysler Pacifica in the Sheriff's Office at $37,285. Item number 9 is a resolution accepting a purchase order and authorizing its release in the amount of $147,282 for AV support systems within juvenile court. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and Alloy Development for $700,000. This is also a previously budgeted item related to an enhancement of the community impact assistance program, as well as the board's commercial property ownership program. Item number 11 is an agreement through environmental services between the board and Environmental Services in Delhi Township for $15,000 for recycling programming at the Delhi Town Square project. Item number 12 is a human resources item, adding 1 position to the table of organization within our social services department. Item number 13 is a resolution approving the tentative agreement between the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners and the Sheriff's Office, and with the benevolent employees of the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office representing various law enforcement, support, and maintenance employees. That's SERB case 2023 MED 101009. Items 14 through 17, I believe, are all JFS items. 14 is a resolution authorizing the second renewal with Harbor for youth employment services at $1.951 million. Item 15 is renewal number 2 of the original agreement with Talbert House for youth employment services, $3.534 million. Those both are important agreements in the operation of the Office of Youth at JFS. Item 16 is an amendment number 2 with Lighthouse Youth Services and the Board and Job and Family Services for foster care services. Item 17 is an agreement between Lighthouse Youth Services, the Commissioners, and Job and Family Services for independent living transition services for $500,000. And Commissioners, I believe that, just make sure I'm not missing any. Oh, we do have, yes, I thought we had one. Hold on one second. Yeah, sorry, my page ran out here. Find the remainder. Where did I leave off? 17?
17.
So 18 is a resolution authorizing a single source agreement between the Board of County Commissioners, Job and Family Services, This is with Changing the World LLC for $100,000 for independent living services. We have item number 19, resolution approving the Department of Job and Family Services Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan and biennial review through the Hamilton County Job and Family Services Planning Committee. That will go into effect April 25th, 2024. Item number 20 is resolution designating personnel to serve as acting director for Job and Family Services in the director's absence. Item 21 is a resolution authorizing the amendment number 1 of the original single source agreement with Foundation of Love for Youth LLC for $742,000 for group home services. And then item 22, Commissioners, is the sheriff's report of no objection to 1 liquor permit application, and that is your consent agenda. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I wanted to go to item number 10, and item number 10 I think is a big deal. Something I know that I've been trying to work on for a couple years, and we couldn't get the right language. The goal is to have more commercial ownership of small and minority-owned businesses, because we have a lot of them going in business, but they're mostly renting. And if they only rent and say they go up, we've had that we've seen that happen in the MedPace deal. There was a soul food restaurant inside of the food hall, and I went back and I said, "Where is these folks?" They had them during the ribbon cutting. And they're no longer there because they went up they said they tripled their rent. And so I'm just concerned that will come a time when, the rents go up, and now the small businesses and the various communities and minority businesses, the ecosystem gets wiped out. So we're trying to see what we can do for them to be able to own properties. We look at over the Rhine, there's not one Black-owned business that owns the property. I'd asked that at one of our meetings. And so we started trying to see how we could help with that. So I wanted to, I think this is a big deal because this helps small businesses and minority businesses also be able to own buildings and commercial properties. Could you talk about how that would work with this that we're passing?
Yeah.
Or we're voting on, we haven't passed it, we're voting.
Sure, Commissioner. And no, thank you for raising it. Happy to talk more about it. And I know Harry Blanton is here, Holly Christman is here, and they work together to formalize this program. So I'm going to ask that they come up and explain some of the details. But to your point, this was a targeted initiative of the board to enhance the ability for small businesses to acquire property and not just rent and lease, as you indicated. The board was very intentional and strategic about that and has been in its policy agenda for several years. It took us a while to figure out an approach that would work. And it's on the consent agenda today. We wanted to defer heavily to the board as to how much you wanted to talk about it now versus at other rollouts, et cetera.
Yeah. I just, we don't have to get into the main details. I just think it's a big deal. We passed it in our budgets.
Sure.
But that it is happening, and we'll do a rollout at the Small Business Day. But I wanted to have people who are looking to own property to come to the Small Business Day so that they can find out about it, because this will help them as they're going to try to acquire property.
Absolutely,
so
and it does.
I just wanted you to kind of touch on that so that when we have our Small Business Day, these folks show up so that they can hear about the details.
Yeah, it is a, without going into incredible amounts of detail on it, it does take one of our existing very popular and well-executed programs through Alloy Development, and it completely juices that program to make it more attractive to small business owners who may lack some of the initial cash to put into a transaction, who otherwise may have been shut out of that program, who can now participate and hopefully move from a situation of leasing, renting to property ownership. That's the whole goal here. So happy to have Holly, Harry, or Kelly walk through it in more detail.
I think we don't have to walk through it today, because we're going to walk through it on May 20th. I just want people who are watching who are small businesses that may be looking at that. They may not attend May 20th because they didn't know it was something like this would be available. And I just wanted to say, I know our board voted on this for the budget, and I know you guys have been
If
working
you're a
really
small
hard.
business and you're looking to own property and not rent, you need to be at the small business.
You need to
day,
be
'cause
there. We
there will be an
got
announcement.
something big
Exactly.
for you.
Right.
Okay, and then number 15, I wanted to just bring up, you mentioned the Office of Youth, and this is Youth Employment Services. We did get a preliminary report on the kickoff, Youth Employment Day, and on site, I think 240 plus youth were hired. I think 243 youth were hired on the spot. Of course, we've got a ways to go, but we are hiring, and so I wanted to bring attention to that funding that we're providing for employment services, over $3 million, $3.5 million plus dollars. And I think it's important, just as that we continue to highlight the things that we're doing for youth, and then how do they connect with it. So just wanted to highlight that that's in this consent budget today. So
Sure.
that's all that I have. I'll open up for Vice President Dreehouse.
Thank you. On item number 20, who is the individual that's being appointed to serve as the acting director?
I think that is Mr. John Nelson, who Mr. Nelson is here with us today.
He's here acting
so-
right now.
He's acting.
He's doing a good job.
So we wanted to just formalize that through the board resolution.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Dumas?
Thank you. Just a couple things. Item number 7, Talbot House, and they will provide the Community Alternative Sentencing Center for 1.4. And my concern is not necessarily Talbot House, but we talk about Talbot House a lot and how they get a lot of our financing, because sometimes they are a sole source, single source, we call them, the only game in town. But if you go from 7 to 15, which was mentioned earlier, and we're giving them $3.5 million for our youth employment services, my concern is, and continues to be, that we look at other entities that can provide some of those services. They used to be the only game in town, Talbot House. But I just want to feel very comfortable about the fact that we looked into other entities that may be smaller that can do the same thing, because we're giving a lot of money to Talbot House, and I appreciate what they do, but I just want us to spread our wings a little bit more in whatever area. We always talk about sub-recipients for infrastructure and development, but as far as social services, there's lots of people out there that can do what they do. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Aludo, did you have anything?
Nothing
For him to
specific.
answer that? Or?
No, I didn't know that if there was a specific question, but
It was a comment.
yeah, no,
As
right.
we look at social services, along with when we look at infrastructure and making sure we have smaller businesses that can do some of the services, there are smaller businesses that can provide youth employment services, maybe along with Talbot House.
Yeah,
But
sure.
they are getting a lot of our money, and they do a good job, but I'd like to diversify a little bit.
Yeah, and no, it's I know we've had the discussion in the past, commissioners, and in this particular case on the youth employment, there's actually 2 items on the agenda that deal with this. Both there's Harbor as well. So there's a division of services within the county as to who's handling which areas, et cetera. And as I said, we have this would be the 5th and final extension for Talbot for operation of the cask. So we will have to go back out and reassess that program, potentially competitively procure it again when we re-implement this. So to your point, we'll be looking for opportunities for partnerships at that time as well.
And that was my point, because I heard you say it was a 5th and last agreement.
Yep,
Harbor is
absolutely.
fairly large also, but thank you for that. That's all
welcome.
I have.
All right, I make a motion to approve and accept for the record items 6 through 22.
Second?
Commissioner Reese?
Yes,
Commissioner Dreehouse? Yes. Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
there's no further business to come before us. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.